Hey, Orb.
Hey up, how are you?
I'm all right, mate. How are you?
I'm good, thank you.
You ready to do some podcasting then? Hello and welcome to the confession sessions with the Reverend Luke Edwards. On today's podcast, we've got someone who is very much into his steak. It's the vicious one. It's the vicious one, Jordan Lee. Didn't think I was going to forget about that, did you, mate?
Well, no, not really. It's kind of my thing.
That's very much an inside Aspire joke, though, isn't it?
Yeah. But we also can't forget about the full package either.
Of course, yeah, the full package. It's all coming out now, isn't it?
Yeah.
Literally the full package. Well, you got some of your best promos in that class.
Yeah.
So we met. You were, you're one of the performers at Aspire Wrestling Alliance, somewhere where I've been quite a few times as a fan. One of the places that got me started with Cheap Shot Entertainment in the first place, and I really dearly love going to Aspire. So, Jordan, what got you into, what gave you your love of wrestling?
Well, that's a bit of a difficult question because you see, it's not like I found wrestling from going to like shows as much. I don't know how you found wrestling again, but some people do tend to go to like a show, maybe with a family member, for example.
Yeah.
Because they may be interested in it. And then they go see a show and they probably become into a fan. Or a family member's watching on TV, something like that. But it came as I was at my mum's mate's and I was probably around just before I got into secondary school, I say. Yeah. Probably about just about 11.
Yeah.
And he was watching it on the TV. I mean, her son, my mum's mate's son. And I'm not going to listen to my mum's conversation with her mate, am I? So
no, true.
Bit awkward, isn't it?
No, just a little bit. I mean, depends what we're talking about. But yeah, it's a bit awkward. Anyway, if you can get somewhere, it's something else to do.
So I decided to go in the living room and just watch a son because he's quite younger than me by about a couple of years. But he was watching wrestling at the time. This is 2013. And it was WWE Superstars.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
And I believe the episode was, I think it was either the Raw or the Elimination Chamber had just been.
Okay.
And it was John Cena, Sheamus, and Ryback versus The Shield.
Right. So, yeah, we are going back a good few years then, aren't we?
Yeah, good few years. And I don't know. It just can't. I didn't know what it was called. I just remember it was fighting and it was real life. That's what I thought. It's proper superhero type thing.
Yeah. Real life superheroes. I mean, I often think of that when I come and see you guys at Aspire. There are kids in the crowd that, they'll never get to meet Captain America or Iron Man, but they come to the shows. And it's like seeing real life superheroes. And it must be really rewarding on your end to see that reaction from those kids.
Yeah. I love being somewhat an inspiration to a lot of people.
Yeah.
Even though I never really had anyone until I started watching wrestling as an inspiration.
Okay.
So this was a way forward for me, I say.
Yeah. Yeah.
And at the time, I was dealing with um, proper bad anger issues. I was constantly getting into trouble, one crowd at the
Okay.
times. And it was when I got to my dad's eventually,
Hmm.
and I was just staying around for the weekend. I think it was either a Saturday or Sunday, and we were just flicking through the channels, and it said WWE Summer, and then it just popped on for a second, like this wrestling,
Yeah.
which was what I was watching before, and I was like, oh no, keep the channel on, because I know what it is, type of thing. I could
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
remember the look. I couldn't remember the name, but just that I remembered it, it was like, I just watched it, and my dad was like, you're not into this, are you? I was like, well, no, but I want to get into it.
Yeah. I mean, there's a massive stigma around being a wrestling fan, isn't there? I've always been a wrestling fan. I used to go to watch wrestling when it was a bit like it is now. You had your independent wrestling, but it was your big daddies and giant haystacks. It wasn't like the Americanized version that we have now.
Yeah,
You used to just go down to a local, these were like people that were probably at the time as big as John Cena and Roman Reigns and whatnot. But
yeah,
you used to go down to your local leisure centre and they'd be there doing a show on a regular basis,
yeah,
and it was profit. No, that's when I got into it, but like the American bit, the American wrestling, I got into when Sky first started coming over here in the early '90s, and
yeah,
I remember my first WrestleMania that I remember was WrestleMania 8.
yes.
So, brings us to the next question. We just had WrestleMania. We're looking forward to Money in the Bank. What was the first show you remember? Obviously, it was Superstars. And what was the first pay-per-view you remember watching?
My first ever pay-per-view that I watched,
Yeah.
that will be not until about 3 years later.
Okay.
So we're fast forwarding to 2016, and this was the day before I started wrestling training.
Right. Okay.
Hello, hello.
Hello. Have you gone?
No, someone keeps on calling me, and I'm having to keep on it, and I've told them now, so it should be fine.
Is that the other
Yes,
half?
that is the other half.
Jade, wrestler. So it was before. So you watched the first pay per view the day before you started wrestling
Yes,
training.
it was.
Yeah. Which pay per view was it? I'm interested now.
I bet you can hear my ringtone, can't you? So sorry.
That's all right.
It was Payback 2016.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
I can remember the main event being Roman Reigns versus AJ Styles.
Yes.
And I think it was their first encounter.
Yeah.
And I remember watching, what was the first match? Enzo Amore and Colin Cassidy against the Broad Villains.
Oh, good
That was
Lord.
the first
Wow.
ever pay-per-view match I ever watched, and it ended in about 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Because
I was cracking about those two teams is that they were fantastic on NXT.
Yeah,
And
don't get me wrong, I did really enjoy Enzo and Cass.
oh yeah, absolutely. Who didn't? I mean, there's a few people that I knew that didn't like Enzo and Cass, but I was always sold. I had the "How You Doing" T-shirt.
I was watching. Sorry, go on.
Yeah, go on.
So I was watching the other day, but because I just thought, you know what, I'm watching an Enzo match,
Yeah.
And it was John Cena, and it was at Battleground, same year. Battleground, John
Yeah.
Cena, Enzo against the Club. And I was just watching it. I thought, you know what? This match I feel like it's quite underrated to the time I watched it live. Because after Payback, I watched that, obviously. And then and well, I fell. I completely missed the alarm. That was it.
Yeah.
And I remember just waking up, and it was. I'm trying to remember. I'm trying to recall. It's like I'm completely brain blank. So I can remember. Right, I was getting up. Right, I had a quick pee. There you go. Quick pee. Straight up PJs. Boom. Quilt in the room. Boosh. Quickly turn it on. Come on. There you go. Right. Back to it. I'm back to it now. And it was just the start of the match.
Yeah.
And yeah, there we go. It's just a really underrated match, I think. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'll have to go back and watch that one. Well, there's quite a few. Quite a few underrated matches. Certainly not the earlier stuff when they didn't allow the cruiserweights to bounce around and jump and do what cruiserweights do, but the later stuff with the cruiserweight division in the modern era, I think a lot of it's underrated. Some of the best matches I've seen on pay-per-view recently have been the cruiserweight division. Thinking about where Enzo then went, because he went into the cruiserweights, didn't he? And that was sort of the start of the downfall, so to speak. After he'd had his feud with Cass, his very limited feud with Cass. But yeah, I can fully imagine that was very underrated with John Cena and Enzo, two of the best talkers in the business, and two very underrated wrestlers, I might add as well. Although I don't, Enzo didn't do very much, but I think he could have done a lot more if he was given time.
What I enjoyed the most, it wasn't that it was all move. It was there was a lot of moves. Obviously, it was about a 20-minute match or so. But you had Enzo, who was loud. Crowd was popping as well. Can we just out? So I was very engaged into it. Than I was when I was like 13 years old, just waking up really late for the pay-per-view and just thinking, I'm really tired now. And Enzo was on the mic and he was just doing his thing. Then he got cast a big man, and then he got Cena who just comes in and he does his thing. But it made those two shine quite a lot in a way.
Yeah, because they were big. They were the next big thing, weren't they?
And it was like, obviously the whole thing was around AJ and John at the time.
Yeah.
And
beat up John Cena.
Sorry?
That was the thing, wasn't it? Beat up John Cena. What are you going to do? We're going to beat up John Cena.
Wasn't there a segment where like they took down Cena one time? I'm so sorry for my other half if it's popping up on this podcast. I don't think a text got through. Bless her.
I'll apologise for stealing her boyfriend for an hour of podcast later.
It's okay. She eventually got the message, and now she's just saying, "Okay, sorry." Bless her. I do love her. So, I think the segment was they beat up Cena, and then they looked like they was about to go backstage and just beat him up again, like they were going up and down the ramp. And I quite enjoyed that segment quite a lot when I was 13 years old.
Yeah.
Well, it did go. It did go a long way, in a way.
Yeah. So you watch this pay-per-view, and you was due to go to your first wrestling training session.
Yeah.
What were your, obviously Aspire was reasonably new at that point. I think, they've just had their 4th anniversary, haven't they? So have you been there since the beginning then?
When people say the beginning, if I was there from day one, I wasn't there day one. I was there like a week later.
Okay. No, I mean, to me, that's pretty much early doors, isn't it? Well, it is early doors. I'd say that's day one to me. So you've been there for 4 years.
Yeah, it'll be 4 years, May the 2nd. So yeah, it would have been just after a week they first opened. But my reaction when I first went in, I was really nervous because I think it was a bank holiday at the time, bank holiday Monday, and we went early, and we had a meeting type thing because I wanted to know, what was I going to get myself into, sort of thing.
Yeah. Of course, you have to. Yeah.
Because I was extremely nervous. I was excited, but I was nervous. I was quite shaking.
Yeah.
And we had a meeting. I knew what I was expecting, and I kind of sat out, and I just watched what they were doing. And I was still nervous, but then eventually I got into it. Yeah. And I can remember on that first session, I did basically first off, I did a sunset flip from a corner. And I did do some of the basics on the outside while the others were on the inside. Because obviously I was the new kid. And they were there the week before. Yeah. But I did eventually join in, and I just learned how to do a sunset. And I think that was the proudest moment I ever felt. And then
the first move you ever did. I mean, it's got to be a proud moment for any wrestling fan. That the first time you step into a ring, sort of.
And I would say, because I think it was because of my age, I was very naive. I mean, I still am now. Let's be honest.
I think I know a lot of people that are twice your age, dude, and still very naive about what wrestling is.
Yeah. But I was really nervous. I was shy. I wasn't. How can I put it? I wasn't hanging around in the right crowd. I was not very. How can I put it? I was very trouble caused, in a way.
Yeah.
And
okay.
Wrestling was like my only hope, in a way. And obviously, when I found Aspire, I knew it's something I enjoyed, and it was something I wanted to do. And I did have a background of karate and rugby, and I was in football when I was younger.
Okay.
But we're talking probably when I was 5.
Right. Okay. So big gap in between.
But I did karate, and I did rugby when I was in secondary.
Okay. So there was quite a lot of discipline within those two sports, so to speak. Certainly in karate, and I know rugby is very disciplined in what you do in that. So did that help you with your wrestling?
No, it did not. I think it's because I didn't find it that interesting.
Okay.
Even though I did like wrestling, and I still do. I absolutely adore wrestling. But because I didn't have that much interest in karate, I couldn't really bring it over.
Right.
If that makes sense.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, if you're going to bring something like that over, to look at Kyle, who's got a massive background in jiu-jitsu, hasn't he? He can bring that kind of stuff over. So how long did you spend doing karate when you was younger?
I spent about a year doing karate.
And like I say, there was a big gap.
There's a big gap in between everything.
There was a big gap in between. But obviously, the early interest was there. So in terms of, you say you've fallen in with the wrong crowds and things. So how did Aspire help you overcome that aspect? Because we obviously talked about the wrestling, but it does, Aspire does so much more for the community and things like that. So how else did it help
Well,
you? How else did
I had a big lack in confidence. I'm going to put it in that. I never really, even though I did hang around in the wrong crowd, I'm not going to say they put me into trouble.
Yeah.
Or caused me to get in this trouble with such as, authorities and school, etc.
Yeah.
I say that was my fault for getting in that crowd in the first place. I shouldn't have been there. I did have these anger issues. I did have such and such. But I think Aspire, because I knew I could talk to people who had the same interest as me, sort of thing. Yeah, they are much older than me by some years at the time.
Yeah.
But, we're talking like, probably I was, how old? 13. And some of these were just starting college, maybe.
Yeah.
And it was something. It felt like I did have a friend, and it still does, because I see these people as family, such as you and many others at Aspire.
Yeah.
I do see you as family. But it's just that I was lacking confidence at the time, and I felt I could trust people from Aspire than I could more at school eventually, when I did find my ways out of these crowds.
Yeah.
And
so Aspire essentially gave you a way out of that sort of life.
Yeah, it did. And we did, I think it was a few months before we did this big debut with all the students a few months later.
Yeah.
We did actually start doing it was a little, how could I put it, like character class type thing. It was just exploring how would your debut type thing be. And it was a bit like promo class, but it wasn't a full-time thing like it is now.
Yeah. I do love promo club.
Yeah. I realised that since I started Aspire, some grades were going up, sort of thing. I started concentrating in class more, and I did start. The teachers put it that I was maturing to my mum as well.
Yeah. Okay.
And I was listening in class, and we did see an improvement in me. And when I started this earlier character class, I did start to pick up my English more in marks, etc.
Okay.
And it wasn't a huge improvement, but it was an improvement. And I started going up, and then we get to GCSE, and they're giving me these high grades, as in expected marks for my GCSE when it come out, as very high.
Wow.
Because when I was starting off, I was like 2 3s, sort of thing. But since I'd started wrestling, my grades started to improve. My attitude started to improve towards my parents, especially, and my teachers. And I did, as I said, I got out the crowds. So it's helped me a long way.
Yeah. I mean, awesome, dude. Well done on everything you've achieved up to this point in wrestling. Because I can tell you something. You're one of many of the performers in Aspire that I enjoy watching on a regular basis. But I've definitely seen that attitude change just in the couple of years that I've been coming to Aspire as well. And you can tell that, you're very focused on what you do. You want to improve your character, you want to improve your skill set. And more recently, you've actually gone outside of Aspire, haven't you?
Yes, I have.
you've gone to different wrestling venues and things. So, so tell us about some of those.
I believe my first outside booking was about 2 years ago.
Yeah.
So, and I believe it was just the start of the summer, so I was very available for that.
Yeah.
It was. I don't know. It was really weird because when I'm at Aspire, I can almost talk to everyone, because
Yeah.
I know all of you. But when it was like going out to a new place, to me, it was quite scary at the time because it was meeting new people. And it's just getting to know them, sort of thing.
Yeah, of course.
But after a while, I did come out my shell and I did start talking to people. I did my thing, and then it was back.
Yeah.
But I was proud of that moment because that was a big goal of mine when I first started, as when I first debuted, and that was to one day do an outside booking. And
yeah, absolutely.
After that first outside booking, I believe it was United.
Right.
I then went back to United a month later, and then it kind of carried on. And I can remember one weekend, I think it was September time 2 years ago. Yeah. But I did my first ever full weekend of wrestling. And I can remember being absolutely shattered after that.
I can fully imagine, yeah.
You know,
I can fully imagine.
Especially when it's like your first time sort of thing, doing something like that. It's a bit, nerve-wracking. And I remember the day after, I had one of my favourite matches at Aspire. And I was proper proud of that moment because I was a nervous wreck, but without the people in that match, I probably wouldn't have been proud of it.
Yeah, I mean, you've got to have barriers, walls to climb over, haven't you, with anything? And obviously, having chatted to you, one of the things that I can relate to is climbing over those barriers, getting over those walls to education or achievements that you never thought you'd actually reach. And I can fully appreciate where you've come from on that, because I myself have climbed many of those walls. There's been many walls in front of me throughout my lifetime, and I fully appreciate the effort that you've had to go to get over those barriers. And it's really, really good to hear that Aspire has helped you to do that. I'm finding it now. But one of the things that helped me overcome those barriers right up until I was 30, I'd been to university twice by that point. One of those barriers was very similar to perhaps a wrestling show, and that was going into pantomime and doing stage shows and things. It does wonders for your confidence.
Yeah,
absolute wonders. So, in terms of stuff that you do outside of wrestling, I know you're an artist.
Yeah.
Was that something you developed, as you went through your GCSEs as well? Was that love always there, or did it just sort of, I'm good at this, I'm going to continue?
I despise art.
You despise?
I despise. Well, I did despise art. Let's put it as that.
Yeah.
So I didn't do art until year 7. So when I first got into secondary.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I hated it. I couldn't draw for my life. And I absolutely gave up, sort of thing. And it wasn't until got to year 9 and it was time to pick, what GCSEs do you want to do?
Mm.
And I picked construction because my dad worked in a trade of construction.
Yeah. Yeah.
Drama, that was another. I
Yeah.
did a thing called Ready for Work. It's more of a certificate at the end of it. And then history, I think it was. So I did all 4 of them. And then for some reason, one day, I just thought, I don't want to do construction.
Mm.
And it was like a sudden change in heart. And then for some reason, I just picked art. And then I had my head of year saying, Josh, I looked at your art, as in like your art grades, and they're not very high, but are you sure you want to do art for GCSE in time? Yeah, I might as well give it a go. I hate the thing, but I'm going to do it. And
respect, man.
Start of year 10, I didn't. It was just very demanding at start because it was just having to do things I wasn't interested in, like drawing leaves. We went out.
Got to start somewhere.
We went out of the classroom and we just picked out leaves from the trees. Just to draw on, and then they'll bring up these schools of like dead animals, and we'll have to do like a real life drawing of a school. And I was terrible at it. I'm telling you now. But over time, they did give like the whole of the art department. They did give us freedom of what we were interested in. So I decided I don't know what I want to do yet, but I'm going to find it. And at the time, other than wrestling, I also wanted to be a tattoo artist.
Okay.
So that's probably why I did eventually go down the art route. So I started to look for portraits of tattoos.
Mm-hmm.
I found a Lady Gaga portrait, and knowing Lady Gaga, she's very explicit in a way with her body. So I thought, okay, so I'm probably going to get her quite a lot of tattoos if she has any on, like covered from the, like, if she had clothing on, she's probably got some on the back, sort of thing. And turns out she did. So I did a drawing of Lady Gaga. It wasn't my best, but I gave it a go. And I did the tattoo, and I got a grade 4. I got a grade 4.
Nice.
And in my previous years, I never got higher than a grade 2.
Wow. So that's a massive improvement then.
Yeah. And I think from there, I just kept on drawing tattoos. And I'm going to tell you now, they're not my best work from year 10. Sort of thing.
Yeah.
But because they're all like cartoony as well, more than anything. But I did start to enjoy it, and I did eventually have a love for art in a way, if we put it.
Yeah. I mean, you've got to develop these things, haven't you? No one's ever, I'm born, I'm going to be an artist. You've got to develop these things. I always wanted to be a cartoonist. I loved cartoons. I loved drawing. But much like you, I was never very good at it. But I loved it.
Yeah.
And, through secondary school, my art actually got worse than it was in primary school. I actually got awards for my art in primary school.
Yeah.
And then for some reason at my secondary school, they just, they took what I say is they took the ones that could already do it and made them better. But the ones that had the potential, they never even looked at.
Yeah.
So the fact that I now do something that's quite arty, I do video and photography and things like that.
Yeah.
Is nothing short of amazing, really. Because when I was doing my GCSE art, it was very much you've either got to paint, draw, or combination of the both. A combination of two. There is no, you couldn't go out and do photography, for example, or sculpture or whatever. I mean, you think you probably could get away with sculpture, but, I just didn't. I failed miserably at art. I really did. But I still loved it, and I still do now. And I think we've connected on that level as well, haven't we, with the art?
Yeah.
and like photography was a way in for me. When I found photography and found that I didn't have to draw things, but I could take pictures and make them look nice. It was one of those developments of like, okay, yeah, maybe I can get over that wall. Maybe I can get over that obstacle that's stopping me from getting to university.
Yeah.
And art's a great leveler for that, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's a great leveler.
When I got into year 11, I did fully have my passion for art, I say.
Yeah.
It was just a kind of like a de-stress type of thing for me then. Because even though I wasn't exactly wanting to achieve art, put it as that, I just wanted to do it because it just relieved me. I never went outside. Well, I rarely went outside during year 11. I'll probably go and chat to someone like like a few friends that I did have in school. I didn't have many. Let's put it as that. I was very lonely.
Okay.
So I'll probably go and chat to the one or two pals that I did have, and then I'll go. I'll get my lunch and then I'll go to the art room. And then I'll just like draw in for the next half an hour of lunch or 15 minutes of break because I just found it so relieving. And the teacher, she will know that I'm there, but she won't even care less, sort of thing, because I'm doing the work.
Yeah.
And what did I get in my art? I did get a 3 in my eventual art, but that's probably because I didn't do enough because I had to also rely on all the other subjects. But I was fine with it.
Yeah.
That I was completely fine with it. I did change away from tattoos from year 10 to year 11 because eventually I just thought, I don't know why I'm doing tattoos because there's only so far I can go.
Yeah.
So I thought, right, I need to change it, but I need to have it linked to tattoos in some way. So eventually I did go up to Paul Malin.
Yeah.
I went up to him because I know how much of a tattoo fan he is because he's seen his tattoos, obviously.
Yeah.
He's got quite a lot. So I just went to him and I went, "Can I borrow a promo pic that you've had?" He went, "Yeah, there you go."
Yeah.
I just drawed it, and I think I've taken it down off mine and I've gave it him ever since it's been marked. And I think he got either a 4 or a 5. So that's a C to a B. And it was the first time I ever like proper used colour just to highlight a tattoo because I used to use kind of draw in just a pencil and I do some shading, then I'll highlight the drawing in like a marker pen or like a fine line sort of thing.
Yeah.
But apparently Malin really liked it and I saw his expression, he really liked it.
Yeah.
So ever since then I did wrestling. And then it's carried on to college now, even though I was supposed to be doing digital media.
Right.
So
okay. Yeah. So I mean, it's amazing, isn't it, when you find something that you absolutely adore, and how much it can change your life, and clearly it has with you.
Oh, it definitely. Art's definitely changed something in my life.
Yeah. And I can see it in your personality when you're talking about it. You can tell that you've got a genuine love for it. It's very similar to when you talk about wrestling as well.
Yeah.
And it's an absolute inspiration that Aspire has done that much for you.
Aspire was
and it's the reason
for me. I'm telling you now.
It's the reason that I'm giving my time up now during the COVID-19 pandemic to go and help them, because I just feel like they do so much that people don't know about, that I think they're very worthy of what they do, and they're fantastic. It's a fantastic place, and like you say, it's family, isn't it?
It's definitely
it is family.
I think the slogan under the Aspire logos is a heartbeat of a community.
Yes,
I believe.
it is.
Yeah, it definitely is a heartbeat.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's
It
I think
is.
it's more than a heartbeat. It's like the proper heart bass that beats the whole like on the
Yeah,
city in a way.
yeah, absolutely. And they do, and like I say, they do so much, and they're so well known. And yeah, it's wonderful to hear that they can have such a positive impact on so many young people as well, such as yourself. So you like the art, you like art, and obviously you love wrestling. Um, but you're also a gamer as well, aren't you?
Oh yes, yes, I am a gamer.
Yeah, because we had a conversation about, well, not much of a conversation about this the other day, but you're an Xbox,
Yes, get lost, any of you PS4 fans?
and I'm PS3, PS4, PS2. I'm playing PS2 at the moment, actually.
You know what? I'm actually lying. I do actually have myself a PS3 and a PS2.
I found loads of old demo discs
Oh yeah,
in the back bedroom. Yeah, I'm currently playing through those.
I've just been playing Grand Theft Auto.
Oh, the ultimate. So, which Grand Theft Auto have you been playing? Is the latest one?
Yeah, it's got to be the latest one.
Grand Theft Auto,
You know,
yeah, got to talk Grand Theft Auto 5.
yeah.
You're on online Grand GTA then.
I am a big online fan, but I'm a big fan of the story mode. I don't,
Yeah, the
I
story's
don't. How many times I've gone through that story mode and completed it? It's probably nearing about 10 times.
I think I did it. I think I might have done it twice on PS3, and then I bought my PS4 and got it on there. But I haven't quite finished it yet because I've not got round to it. Sort of, I got the game, got my PS4, got the game, and then I got a job. So it was a lot more difficult. But the stories are always great on Grand Theft Auto anyway.
What was your favorite
Um,
character? I'm switching it now. What was your favorite character on GTA?
um, like on GTA 5
Yeah, GTA 5.
or GTA 5. I don't know. They all had their traits that I did like. Um, I'd probably say like Franklin was probably my least favorite. There's nothing wrong with Franklin. I love Franklin to bits. He's great.
He's
Um,
he's my G,
yeah,
as you'll put it.
but yeah, there's something about Trevor that it just makes you laugh, and he's so insanely out there
Yeah,
that you can't help but like Trevor.
you know.
And then you've got Michael, who's trying to be the family man, but it's clearly just he's living a lie, isn't he? And
Yeah,
it's just like it's so difficult to actually pick a favourite. Um, I think I'd probably go with Trevor. I'll go with popular opinion.
I did.
So what's yours?
I did have a thing for Trevor. I thought he's got a good personality. I thought
Yeah,
I could kind of link to Trevor, in some ways.
yeah,
Both very crazy dudes. He'll do some stupid stuff and I'll do some stupid stuff. But then our taste in music is completely different.
yeah, yeah. His taste in music is very different. I
You know,
still remember listening to the radio when I was playing as Trevor,
Rebel Radio.
and yeah, and the only song I recognised on it was Amoeba,
Oh yeah.
because it was in Tony Hawk's.
Mm.
It was in Tony Hawk Pro Skater. I think it was Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3. And I was like, okay, that's pretty cool. I just love Tony Hawk's soundtrack anyway. So, I can get behind that. But the music in GTA is fantastic, isn't it?
Yeah, and they keep on updating it every now and then as well, because I think they've got a Travis Scott, and they've got
Yeah.
they've added some Lady Gaga, some JME. Man don't care about all that. It's apparently called, and that's a banger. That is GTA Online. But out of all of them, it has to be Michael. It has to be.
Yeah, Michael's awesome.
Michael's story, I say, alone and together is just amazing.
Yeah.
He's trying to play that good. Like you said, he is living on the lie. One guy got shot because I think it was originally supposed to be Trevor and Brad.
Yeah.
At the start, but obviously Dave Norton, if anyone knows him,
Yeah.
obviously shot Michael, and then obviously Michael had to go along with it. And then it just going back to North Yankton, it was just that sort of thing. And then his taste in music, it's when his trailer came out and it was Queen. I was amazed. I'm one of the biggest Queen fans going. I don't care what, as long as it's not "Don't Stop Me Now" by Queen, because I hate that song. Don't stop me now.
Yeah.
Hate it for some reason. I've got a passion for it. But
I think it's one of those songs that it's like a film. It's like a good film, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's one of those songs that's so overplayed.
Shaun of the Dead, that was all right for Shaun of the Dead, but definitely not like anything else that I've been in or seen, at least.
Yeah. You'd get on well with my dad, actually, because he's a huge Queen fan. To the point where that's all he's been watching. He's been watching TV, where he's been watching the music channels, and they have Queen Hour, and they've had a couple of concerts on there, actually, some Queen concerts.
What, from like the past, etc.
Yeah, they've had quite a few of them on, actually. He's been watching them. But we do a quiz every Saturday. Like during the lockdown, we started doing a quiz. Me and my mates, and one of the questions was, what does she keep in a cabinet in forgot the song now.
Was it Kid a Queen?
That's the one. Yeah, what does she keep in a cabinet?
Oh yeah, what did she I can't remember. I'm trying to put it now.
Yeah, it's one of those, isn't it? You listen to it, it's like da, 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 but you never actually listen to that first part of the song.
It was like she keeps a. I think it was. For some reason, I'm thinking it's a gun.
I think basically, I know it's moe, and I think it's cheese.
Are you saying it's something to do with cheese? You're saying
it's cheese and moe, as in like champagne.
Yeah, okay, I do agree.
In a pretty cabinet, yeah.
Only reason I agree is because they're on about Killer Queen. I'm not saying I'm not on about Queen Elizabeth is a killer. Well,
some of them were.
I've got to say, Queen Elizabeth is stunning.
You know what? For an old bird, she is stunning, isn't she?
Yeah.
She's she's proper rocking it.
She has 2 birthdays a year, doesn't she? When she got crowned, was it, and an actual birthday?
Yeah. She does.
Yeah. So they're doubling her age. You can't be doing that. That's like being an even number in the same years.
Yeah.
Or odd.
But so what else besides GTA are you playing, or do you just play GTA?
Oh no, I don't just play GTA. I do play my fair share of Forza Horizon.
Okay.
So that's probably like the only other game I play. I don't really play much in a way. I do play my Minecraft, but that's a bit boring sometimes.
Yeah.
Just a plain old same song that goes on repeat.
So yeah, Forza, racing game.
Yes, it is.
Yeah. So
what was the recent one? Forza Horizon 4.
Yeah. Okay.
So this game is based up in the north of England.
Okay.
And I found this game very useful because obviously we're in lockdown and I cannot drive. But it is near Edinburgh. So I thought, why not make it a good idea and travel around this map of so-called Edinburgh and see where we go. And I ended up at Bamburgh Castle.
All right, okay.
Like, Bamburgh Castle is a real place, isn't it? I am correct, haven't I?
I believe so. I do believe they have castles in Scotland. Never been, but
I think it's on the beach. I think it's like on the beach or something. But I thought, you know what? I've made it. I don't even have to travel anywhere. I don't have to Google anywhere. I just got to play a game and I just drive there in a Lamborghini. There's me doing about 150 miles per hour in about, what, a few seconds? Probably 5.
Nice.
Just speeding it, just enjoying life, just watching it go by. Just beautiful.
Yeah, I always find those kind of games fantastic for that. I always like one of the games that I've been playing on my PS2 is Bamburgh Castle. It is a real place.
Is it in England?
I've just had a look, and it is.
What, in the UK? Sorry.
Hold on. Look, Northumberland. So it's as far as you can go north, pretty much.
Yeah. Okay. Bang on. Got it right. I've been travelling the north. Not even travelling.
But yeah, I mean, I do find those. I mean, I just find games beautiful. It's again, it's very much like art. It's very much like panto. It's very much like wrestling. It's a way to get away from real life, isn't it?
Reality.
It's a way to get away from reality. I mean, in reality, it's not likely that you're going to walk down the street and steal a car. You know, on GTA, you can do it and get away with it. You know.
Well, sometimes
we're not gonna do that. You know, in reality, you're probably not going to be driving around Northumberland in a Lamborghini, or even around Derby in a Lamborghini. But you can do that in games, can't you?
Yeah.
And one of the games I've been playing recently is The Getaway on PS2.
I've never heard of it.
The Getaway on PS2. It was absolutely remarkable game. They recreated photo perfect London.
Really?
Yes, and this was 2002. This is when everybody was like, "Oh, Grand Theft Auto Vice City's great. Look at the graphics." But you play The Getaway. The controls are not great, I must admit, but the graphically it was in another world. It really was. It was like playing a movie before that was a thing. I mean, that wasn't until late PlayStation 3, sort of Xbox 360 days.
Yeah.
But this game, I mean, I'm playing the second one now. It's a game that I never finished, and we talk about reaching goals and stuff. I want to finish this game because I never did it when I was a kid. Well, I say a kid. In 2002, I was 18. So,
oh God,
yeah, I wasn't a kid, but I was playing it. But it's a fantastic game. If you've got a PS2, if you can get a copy of it, I'd suggest giving it a try. Like I say, you might have to give it some time to get used to the controls, but it is good. Fantastic story and everything.
I might have to go down to a Kex. Is it? Do we say Kex or Sex?
I would call it Sex. I always feel wrong, so I just call it CEX.
Yeah, because I just don't want to be that person that just goes, I'm going down to Sex.
I'm going to the sex shop.
That sort of thing,
Oh dear.
Someone in like your friendship group's gonna laugh.
It's those little things, though, mate. It's those little things that keep you going, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's those little things.
I'll have to go down to that Kex. There we go. I'll call it Kex. I'll have to go down to Kex and try and find the game.
Yeah. I've actually got a spare copy of the second one. So when all this is, don't ask me why, I ordered it, and then 2 of them came.
Okay.
So you're more than welcome to have that copy if you got a PS2, because I've currently got 2 copies of the same game.
Yeah, I'll give it a go.
When all this is over and we're back at training, you're more than welcome to have that.
There's one game on PS2 that's really annoying.
What's that?
Do you know the Simpsons skateboarding game?
Oh God, yes.
I've got that, and I used to think it was the best game in the world, and it's so annoying.
Oh no, I was that and Simpsons Wrestling were the 2 that I never got on with.
I've never played Simpsons Wrestling.
It's awful. Don't play it.
I won't waste my money.
It's awful because like two of the things that I was really into at the time were Simpsons, because you could watch it on Channel 4 and it was on every day. And I used to come back from school, so I'll put Simpsons on, and wrestling. They were the 2 things. And when they came out with that game, I was like, yeah, I'm straight down the shop. I'm buying this. This was PS1. So you can imagine. But the control system was awful game. It'd be one that if could actually hook it up and do a gaming channel for Aspire, I think it'd be one that we could make people say the most swear words in one go.
Just like up, down, down.
Yeah.
Will do.
But Simpsons skateboarding.
Shout out Xavier Woods.
Yeah, Simpsons skateboarding was not good, but obviously it was hanging on the back of Tony Hawk's Pro Skater, and those games I absolutely loved. And I still do. I've still got Tony. I've bought a copy of Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 4. Still love that. SSX was another one that I played religiously.
I think I've got SS. I think I got that. I couldn't pronounce it then.
SSX.
But,
Tricky was brilliant. Love Tricky. You can still pick that up now. And we're talking a game that's, at least 15 years old, maybe 16 years old. And you can still pick up the game and play it. It was that innovative.
There's one game on the PS2 that I feel like an absolute boss on, and that's Shadow the Hedgehog. It's just that game. I've never seen Shadow ever go around with a gun. And it was just amazing. Just, I didn't care about, doing these so-called missions where you get the heroes part or the enemies part, that sort of parts. I did like the wide range of choices, but it was just getting that chaos sort of thing.
Yeah. Yeah. Like I say, there's always games like that, isn't there? I remember going, this is going way back now, playing the original Grand Theft Auto. And one of the things that I used to love to do is find a place to have a car garage. Yeah. So I'd get the cars and make sure I got one of each and just go and park them. I wouldn't even play the missions. I'd just go and park them. I won't tell people how old I was because I was probably too young to be playing such a game. But
I was as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's it's one of those, it's like you get so much freedom in these games, a lot of the games. It's so much freedom just to express yourself. And like I say, it's like the art, it's like art, it's like being on stage, like wrestling. You get a chance to express yourself, don't you? Yeah. And you can play how you want to play, and it's an escape. I mean, another thing I really like is movies. Love my movies.
I'm not a big fan of movies. However, there's always that however, isn't there, with me?
Oh, yeah, there's always a however.
Big fan of Peaky Blinders. Everyone knows that.
Yes.
Bit obvious.
Yes, just a little bit with the peaked cap and stuff. So what interests you in Peaky Blinders?
I'm
What gave you
gonna
that?
say it's not really. Sorry,
What gave you that love of Peaky Blinders?
I'm not even sure how it started. I'm not even sure. I just kind of went into Matalan one day, and
Yeah, you do.
I just saw this cap
Yeah,
hanging somewhere,
yeah.
and then I was like, okay, what does that remind me of? Oh yeah, Peaky Blinders. Oh yeah. And then I saw the coats. I kept on walking around, and then I saw the coat, and I was like, I'm going to dress up as a Peaky Blinder in the changing rooms. So I
Yeah,
dressed up as a Peaky Blinder in the change rooms, and I had £100 gift voucher as well.
yeah.
So I got myself this long coat,
Mm,
and I got myself the cap, and then I bought for about 20 quid,
yeah.
like some brown boots that does not go with a Peaky Blinder whatsoever. But then I can remember going to two Christmas parties, and I turned up as a Peaky Blinder wearing instead because they don't really wear ties. I don't think, do they? Well, on some
No.
occasions they do, probably. But I was wearing my school tie, and I was wearing this black waistcoat,
Mm.
and obviously the hat and the thing, and some smart shoes. But I just loved looking like a Peaky Blinder, and I did eventually get into the whole Peaky Blinder series, and I'm still waiting for that season 6 and the new Peaky Blinder game.
Yeah,
It's
yeah. Because
coming
it's
out on
supposed to be. Yeah,
Xbox.
yeah. It's supposed to be bringing that out, aren't they?
Yeah,
Can't say I can't say I've ever watched Peaky Blinders, to be honest. Um, it's not something that I've ever sort of picked up, but maybe it's something I should watch while we're in lockdown. We should find
yeah,
it.
it is a good series. I think it's more of the time where it's based. You know, we're based in after the war, the First World War
Mm.
in Birmingham, obviously,
Yeah,
because that's where they all originated.
yeah,
And I think it's also how they're how can I put it
mm.
how they're shown on the screen. So we've got Tommy, the main character. He's the second oldest in the family of the boys, basically,
Yeah,
and he's calm, even though he's been in this wars, and he was I believe he was like a bomber in a way, or
yeah,
he like dug up trenches like to go under the enemy's base, and he put a bomb there to blow them up.
yeah,
So he was that sort of person, you know. He never had a gun, and he wasn't really afraid of death in a way. And then you've got Arthur. They're all in the army.
yeah,
Who did exactly the same thing, but he's an absolute nutcase. You know, he's like a brawler
yeah,
type thing. And then you've got the others who like John. He's just a guy who kind of, you know, likes to impress the ladies and get women pregnant.
mm.
But other than that, I think it's really good. You know, just the gang warfare in a way, because they eventually bring in the mafia. Spoilers.
Yeah. I can fully appreciate that. I used to watch Sopranos. Um, that's really good. Love
Yeah,
Sopranos.
I've never
Mm.
watched it, being honest.
So I can imagine Peaky Blinders is probably something very similar to that, only based in England, obviously. So yeah,
Yeah,
I think that's maybe Jordan Lee's recommendation for the podcast is go and watch Peaky Blinders.
yeah, pretty much. I would definitely recommend Peaky Blinders to anyone. I tried to get someone in. I think it was my best mate from college,
Mm.
and he just says I can't get into it. It's like an hour long, and it was like it's just an hour.
Yeah, I mean most
You know.
series are an hour. I've wasted so much time watching series of shows. I mean, one of my favourite shows, because I'm quite into the supernatural and one of my favourite genres of movie, of film, is horror.
I'm not a
Um,
big horror fan.
I love horror movies. Absolutely loved them, even the crap ones. I can't really explain why, but I've watched like so much horror over the lockdown period. It's been unbelievable. But one of my best mates, if not my best mate from university when I went second time to um, do teaching, is also into horror. And it's a bit like the wrestling thing. Finding that person that you could share this with, it is fantastic, isn't it?
Yeah.
You can then talk with them, and you can appreciate each other's interests of that kind of nature. And we've been watching loads of horror in lockdown. We've been using Zoom, and we've been sharing screens and watching films together. It's been great, absolutely fantastic. The amount of technology that we've got now, just to keep talking to each other like we're doing now, is brilliant, and it's definitely been a savior, hasn't it?
Yeah, we're not giving out letters anymore via the postman, unless of course you're the bank. That's another thing though.
Yeah, it is. But sending out owls like Harry Potter.
We're just hoping that it'll get to that person and not get shot down by Voldemort.
Yeah, true.
But
or Donald Trump.
But yeah, but I do agree that technology is a savior in this quite bad times that we are in now.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's our ability to stick together and keep each other sane. Like we're having this conversation now, and hopefully people will be listening to this as well as time goes on, and see how much of an inspiration you are, and how many obstacles you've had to overcome.
I would also say that this is going back quite a while now in this conversation, like earlier, to Aspire. But I would say Aspire is one reason why I kind of gain more confidence in myself, as in body-wise.
Yeah.
Because I think when I was younger, I used to weigh just over 14 stone, which is, it was quite heavy for my height at the time.
Yeah.
Well, since then, I had lost about 4 stone.
Yeah.
So we're talking about, I was about 11 stone, and I'm about 12 now. Mm-hmm. So I'm trying to put back some weight back on because I'm apparently now, because I've grown, I'm underweight.
Yeah.
But I say right now, I'm working out, probably like twice a day, every probably like 2 days. So it'd be like I do a workout one day, next day, like 1 or 2 workouts a day. Next day I'll take a break. Next day back on it, type thing. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely.
And I'm going to say this: I have put a bit of weight on, which I was hoping for, but not as much as I want. Not as much as I was back then.
Yeah.
But I have, I've gotten bigger in a way, and I can see that. I've been getting bigger with muscles, etc.
Yeah.
And I'm definitely more confident in myself.
Yeah, and that's a big thing, isn't it? Body image is huge now, and it doesn't just affect the ladies; it does affect us guys as well.
It can affect anyone.
Yeah, it can affect anyone, and it's really important to be confident in yourself. When you find that place where you can be confident in yourself, it's fantastic. And my story is very similar to yours, but I was a lot heavier. I was 25 stone about 6 years ago.
Yeah.
So we're talking, I was quite big. I'm now 18, but I'm working out.
Oh, good on you.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's that confidence. With me, it was like, again, finding that happy place. It was finding a job for me.
Yeah.
I was struggling. I'd gone through university. I'd gone through my teaching qualification, but I found it really difficult to get a job. And when I found that job, I gained confidence, but I kept gaining weight, and that was my first job. because that job was teaching, and a lot of the time I was sat down, I was drinking tea and eating biscuits. When I got my job at the leisure centre, obviously I got free gym membership as part of that, and I started training. I found swimming again. I love swimming, and that was huge for me. That helped me lose loads of weight, gain a lot of confidence, because you go onto that poolside, you're not wearing a t-shirt.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's a huge amount of confidence. Body image is huge. And, you know, like I say, we're talking about Aspire and things like that. I'm doing the training classes, and obviously you're there as well. And that, again, is a big thing for me. Walking through that door first time. I've been there plenty of times as someone in the crowd. But walking through that door and doing that training camp with the champion at the time, you know what I mean? And he still is, with Paul, was huge. And even though I was reporting on it and doing the whole media thing with YouTube and things, it was a huge thing, that was, for me. I said, I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it. And when you pull the trigger on it, you don't go back, do you?
No.
And, you know, and we've got to say this to people who are listening. If you're thinking about doing something, as long as it's within reason, obviously, something positive, change your life, whatever, you've got to go and do it, haven't you?
Yeah.
Whether that's whether that's taking an art course or going to the gym.
Yeah. I've always now said to myself, ever since I have become more successful, not to brag about it or be big-headed about it, but in some personal way, I have become successful in such things as photography, as I mentioned, and I have become successful in art and wrestling.
Yeah.
And it's just that thing, like, I'm just trying something out, and if it fails, at least I know I tried.
Yeah. And you have to, sometimes you have to fail in order to find out, don't you?
Yeah, failing. It's more fail and succeed type thing.
Yeah, failure is a big part of life. And I see it all the time when I'm at school to volunteer with, you know, to teaching kids, and they've got a real abject fear of failure. They want it, you know, they want someone to be with them all the time and tell them they're doing it right. But how do you tell a child these days that failure is a big part of life? You don't learn until you fail something.
Yeah,
you know, and it's and that's a big thing. You've got to learn that. But it's good to hear that you've been so successful. So what is the future for Jordan Lee? What is the future for the Vicious One?
I don't even know yet.
Are we going to see you in WWE? Maybe the big company.
That is not one of my goals at the moment.
No,
that is my biggest goal is to actually get to Japan.
Ah, yeah, okay. So you're going the opposite way then, and that again, it's fantastic because I know that, if you did that, they'd look after you big time.
Yeah, and I can see it in a. I'm not saying I can't see it. I can't see myself getting to Japan one day. I'm not saying that, and I'm not saying I can see it myself. I'm not trying to say of that, but it's just I do watch a lot of such things as New Japan.
Yes,
and I do take things into consideration, like how hard they strike, how they treat wrestlers when going through such things as the dojo, whether that's LA or the one in Japan,
sort
of thing.
Yeah,
I do take that into consideration of how hard they do work.
Yeah,
you know, I've heard from different people of how hard the training is. You know, something it's a hard. You know, it's proper hitting almost in a way, because it did come from like an MMA type thing.
Yeah.
I think it was like the two. I think there was a point in time where it was like MMA sort of thing. Because you can definitely see some of it.
Oh yeah, I mean, it's completely different to anything that America can throw out there, isn't it?
Yeah,
and it is.
And
And it's
I do,
I do sit and occasionally I watch New Japan. It's not something that I watch all the time, but I do enjoy it when I watch it. I've got to admit.
I enjoy a lot of the strong stuff. So we're talking Suzuki.
Yes.
I am quite a big fan of Suzuki. Let's put it as that.
Yeah.
But I'm also I'm a big fan of Suzuki Gun. Let's put it as that.
Yeah.
The Suzuki Gun faction, such as I'm a big fan of the Zack Sabre Jr.
Yeah, love Zack Sabre Jr. Absolutely awesome dude as well. I met him and had my photo taken with him. So while there was a show, a WCPW show in Nottingham.
Yes. Oh yeah, was that the qualifiers? May I ask?
I probably, yes, for the World Cup.
Yes, I was there.
Yeah. Nice. So we've been in the same building and we didn't even know it. But I always remember Christopher Daniels at a table charging 10 quid for photos and all that kind of stuff. And everyone was around Christopher Daniels. But Zack Sabre Jr., he was very humble. He was sat at his table. And obviously, pretty much a product of Japan, isn't he?
Yeah.
He's over there. He's killing it. He was great in the Cruiserweight Classic as well.
He was. What I enjoy about Zack Sabre Jr.'s stuff, it's catch. Let's put it as that. It's catch wrestling.
Yeah.
It's something that I've not always seen because I do see a lot of this modern day. Let's put it because we are in a modern day. It's very. Sometimes it can be acrobatic.
Yeah.
As in it's all high, like the Rey Mysterio, high flying, etc. And it's there's more to it, and I do like that sort of style, but I do enjoy more the hard hitting stuff, and I do enjoy the technical wrestling.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of the ruthless aggression era.
Yes, I love the ruthless aggression era. I don't think it gets enough love, personally, because everyone's like, "Oh, Attitude Era." Like, now, ruthless aggression, fantastic.
It's not a popular opinion for mine, but I do enjoy a lot of CB Chris Benoit stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I can dig that, man. As a wrestler, it was fantastic.
I always judge him as a wrestler.
Yeah, absolutely. That's what you've got to do.
I enjoy the stuff. His headbutt was amazing. So I obviously saw the headbutt. The snap suplex I just quite love in a way because it was just that snap, and I never really saw anyone else do that type of thing because it was just really quick and really snappy sort of thing.
Yeah, it was really intense, wasn't it, as a wrestler, as a performer inside that ring.
But yeah, I say that he was the person who I looked at the most during that era, and I was a big SmackDown fan.
Yeah,
of that time.
Yeah,
of that time period. I'm mostly what most people like, but it's just the small things.
Yeah.
Of that timeline. Big fan of the Eddie Guerrero and Chavo Guerrero.
Yes. Yeah.
I'm trying to think of who they were now. Is it the Basham brothers or something?
Yes, and they came out with Shaniqua.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they were part of the cabinet for a while.
Sorry?
They were part of JBL's cabinet, weren't they, as well?
I'm trying to remember. I think they were.
Yeah, I think that were like the bodyguards for JBL.
Was that along with Orlando Jordan, was it?
Yes, it was Orlando Jordan. Yeah, before he went off the rails in Impact Wrestling, as it were.
Yeah.
But yeah, I do love me a bit of ruthless aggression. I do love that.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of the Attitude Era. There were some parts don't get me wrong, there were some parts I did like.
Yeah. See, I was
Such
around
as
your age when that was happening, so I really got into that. But then the ruthless aggression era came along, and I just thought, you know what, this is the best elements of everything I love about wrestling. It was the right amount of attitude era, but it had something different as well. You know, it was a lot brighter. It was a lot more technical. You know, and they still had those big matches as well, and it was great. I loved it.
I was a big fan of the old school. So we're talking like the Hulk Hogan era,
Yeah,
some people call it, or the golden era.
yeah, the golden era. See that, like I say, my first memory of watching a WWE pay per view was WrestleMania 8. And obviously, when I was a lot younger, I used to idolize Hulk Hogan. You know,
Yeah.
I've got a Hulkamania vest upstairs actually. And it was one of the reasons I was really looking forward to going to WrestleMania this year, which obviously didn't happen, is that Hulk Hogan's got a beach shop in Tampa.
Okay.
And I was planning on going over there and buying a Hulk Hogan T-shirt or something to do with his beach shop and bringing it back and souvenir, you know. But that whole era as well was fantastic.
Yeah.
I grew up on that.
I think that era, I was more of a fan of the tag team wrestling.
Yeah,
and
big fan of tag team wrestling.
I was a big fan of the British Bulldogs, Dynamite Kid, British Bulldog, the Nasty Boys. Big fan of the Nasty Boys.
Yeah.
I've got to put it. I'm not a big fan of. Is it the Rock and Roll Express? Ricky Morty and.
Yeah.
They're just not for me.
No, see, that was a different kind of tag team wrestling to what you're describing. You know, that was like the high flying tag team wrestling, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Where you're kind of describing the hard hitting tag team wrestling.
Yeah, like I'm a big fan of the hot. Which one was the Hart Dynasty? Was that Davey Boy and Tyson, or?
Yes, that was the Hart Dynasty.
So which one am I thinking? I'm trying to think of is it Foundation? Hart Foundation.
Hart Foundation, yeah.
Yeah, Anvil and Hart.
Yeah, Anvil and Brett, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can dig that. I had all those figures, all those Hasbro figures. I think I've got some up on my shelf at the moment. Actually, had all the figures. I've got some collector's cards as well. That are probably I don't know if they're worth anything, but yeah, big fan of that era. Big fan.
Stuff, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I've told him to think more ruthless aggression.
Yeah, because that is the era.
That is the era where they could get away with stuff, but it was still family friendly. You know.
Yeah.
That was the in between.
As you lead to sex tape.
Well, yeah, well. That was a life sex celebration, though, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Although obviously you didn't see anything. So but like I say, it was the in between, wasn't it? It was just that. I mean, it was the in between.
Mm-hmm.
And like I say, we both loved that era. I know plenty of other people who love that era as well. That was the era that really got me back into it. I mean, obviously, I watched Raw and SmackDown in the Attitude Era because we actually had Sky at that point.
Yeah.
But the Ruthless Aggression Era, and I remember you saying earlier on that you were a SmackDown guy, and I was a SmackDown guy as well, because SmackDown was played on Sky One on a Saturday morning.
Yeah.
And you didn't have to have sports to watch it. So that's the reason I was a SmackDown guy. You know, and it was the pure wrestling show. You know, you can't deny the quality of the wrestling and the wrestlers and the performers on that show. It was
I think the reason why people preferred the SmackDown brand compared to the Raw brand was because Raw was more storyline wise.
Yeah.
It was more entertainment, and then he got the SmackDown side, which was more wrestling and etc.
And SmackDown had its fair share of the entertainment side as well. I mean, you know, you look back at that era of SmackDown, and you've got Big Show versus Brock Lesnar, and that's when they collapsed the ring, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
You know, that was the first time they did that. That was nuts. I remember losing it when that happened. And you know, it's like these two big guys putting on this really good match, is what I remember it. And then that happening, and that's how it finished. I mean,
Yeah.
that's how to do a semi-false finish, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
You know, that was fantastic.
They've done it throughout the years now, haven't they? About what? Another 2-3 times?
Yeah, and it loses its shine. It's a bit like the super kick, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know, when Shawn Michaels used to hit Sweet Chin Music, it finished people off. Now, they're just throwing them like 5 ways from Sunday.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I get where you're coming from.
And it like that was the thing. You know, Sweet Chin Music finished people off. Now it's a transition move almost, or a setup move, which is fine. I mean, as long as you do it the right way, it's you know, it's cool. You know, I don't mind that. But it's a bit like the F5, isn't it? Like Brock Lesnar can hit the F5 like 5 times, and sometimes people still get up. You know, it's kind of lost its sheen.
Yeah,
but it still looks proper nasty though. It's one of the best moves I think I've ever seen any wrestler ever do, and it's just sitting on someone's shoulders and swinging them around, isn't it? It's basically a TKO. The opposite way, it's like a reverse TKO.
I don't know. I might start using it afterwards.
You could call it something like the F55 or something.
Could do. I had a phase where I was watching just Brock Lesnar matches from like the Ruthless Aggression.
Yeah.
And I also watched the Royal Rumble 2015 because I know he had a good triple threat between Cena and Rollins back then.
Yeah.
But I just went through a phase where I was just a big fan of Brock Lesnar, just because he was so muscular and he was like really violent in the UFC.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah.
Sort of thing. And I just thought, oh, I'm Brock Lesnar then.
Yeah.
You know, don't have to do it. I'm just Brock Lesnar.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
I mean, you'd be hard pushed to go anywhere different, especially if you played like a wrestling game or whatever. You want to do, I've got Here Comes the Pain on my PS2. And if you want to do like Slobber Knocker mode or whatever, you'd be hard pushed to pick anybody else other than Brock Lesnar, especially if you're starting with 5 finishes or something.
Who was the lowest wrestler in Here Comes the Pain?
Oh, I don't know, because they had the divas on there as well. Male wrestler, I don't know. I know Brock was probably thinking when I played it last. I know Brock was right up there, obviously, probably the most powerful. Well, then you had people like Spike Dudley and the sort of cruiserweight division of that era as well.
Yeah,
Jamie Noble's even in it. So I would say they're probably the lowest rated. But then you had, I think the Coach was a playable character. All people. So
I could never stand Coach. I could never stand him.
Because he's been let go now, hasn't he? Again.
Has he?
Yeah. He was in that. He was in the last series of releases, wasn't he?
I can't remember. I can remember some of them, but I couldn't remember Coach being in there.
Yeah, I think Coach was in there from what I read, but there was a massive list of them, and it's really sad, isn't it, to think that a lot of those people have left other jobs to go and do that, and they released that. I can see why WWE have done it. On the flip side, crap. I mean, it's rubbish for everybody, isn't it? But yeah, I mean, for a multi-billion-dollar company to do that many releases is quite horrid, really. It is.
Yes, it is.
I feel their pain, so to speak. But yeah, I was talking about Brock Lesnar. I feel the pain. Here comes the pain. Yeah, future endeavoured. Yeah. Anyway, I think we've covered all bases there, my friend.
Yeah, I say so.
I think we can. I think we can leave this confession session for Talk is Cheap right here.
Cool.
So, thank you for agreeing to do the podcast with me.
Thank you for letting me do it.
No, it's been an absolute pleasure. Really enjoyed it, and your story shall be heard because it's absolutely inspirational.
Yeah, thank you.
You should be very, very proud of what you've achieved.
I'll be very proud of the new podcast I'll be setting up.
Yeah, Cheap Pops.
Just going to shout it out there.
Go and listen to Vicious Talk with Jordan Lee. The Reverend shall appear. Yeah, so this is the confession sessions. This is Confessions of Jordan Lee. Got to hear the story of the man behind the vicious one, and yeah, it's been an absolute pleasure. Absolute pleasure.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. So yeah, hope you've enjoyed the podcast, everybody, and we'll see you again. We've got plenty more people lined up. I'll keep those a secret for now, and yeah, we'll see you again. Thank you for listening. Goodbye. And so, as a little added bonus to this confession session with Jordan Lee and the Reverend Luke Edwards, it came to fruition last night that my internet went off, so I thought I'd lost the podcast. But luckily I woke up this morning and it was there. So the podcast is going up as normal, but I'm going to give you a little bit extra. It is Jordan Lee's sign off as I disappeared. I think you'll find it very, very funny. And I just want to say again, thank you to Jordan Lee for doing the podcast with me. So enjoy the hidden extra.
Okay. Fair enough. Hello? Well, okay. So I guess that's his battery dead. So I don't know if it's actually still recording. So I'm going to leave. And this is Talk is Cheap, is it? Yeah, this is Talk is Cheap. And I'm Jordan Lee and I'm out. Peace.